He's just going through a hard time. You're making too much of this. Marcus spoke from the hallway. His voice was calm. He sounded like he didn't care at all. He had just walked through the front door at 6 in the morning. It was the day after their 5th wedding anniversary. He dropped his car keys on the small table by the door. The sound was loud in the quiet house. It was the normal sound of a husband coming home from work. But this was not a normal morning. Elena sat at the small kitchen table. Her cup of tea was cold. She had not moved for hours. She stayed up all night. She watched the clock on the stove change every minute. She knew exactly where her husband was. He was at his ex-girlfriend's apartment. Marcus walked into the kitchen. He looked like he needed a nap. But he did not look like he felt bad. That was the first thing Elena noticed. He didn't look at the floor. He didn't try to hide his face. He didn't even have a good story ready. Sarah called me around 9 last night, Marcus said. She was having a major breakdown. She couldn't breathe. What was I supposed to do? Just leave her there? Elena did not say anything. She just looked at him. Elena, come on, Marcus said. He changed his voice. He tried to sound like he was being nice. Her sister has been really sick lately. She just needed a friend to talk to. She has nobody else. Elena was 31 years old. She had been married to Marcus for 5 years. In those years, she learned something important. She knew when he was telling the truth and when he was acting. This was an act. He was playing a part in a play he had written himself. You didn't pick up your phone, Elena said. Her voice was very quiet. I called you 10 times. I put it on silent, Marcus said. He moved his shoulders up and down. I didn't see the calls until I was driving back just now. He acted like missing their anniversary dinner was a small mistake. He acted like it was just a little problem, not a big deal. Something inside Elena changed in that moment. It was not like a glass breaking. It was more like a heavy stone settling at the bottom of a lake. She thought about all the times she made up reasons for him. She thought about all the times she kept her mouth shut because she didn't want to fight. She looked down at her left hand. The wedding ring was there. It was a silver band with a small diamond. She used to think it was the most beautiful thing she owned. Elena didn't say a word. She slowly pulled the ring off her finger. She put it on the wooden table. It made a small clicking sound. Marcus stopped talking. He looked at the ring. His face changed. First, he looked annoyed. Then he looked confused. Then he looked like he was actually worried. What are you doing? He asked. Elena stood up. Her legs were a little shaky, but she felt strong. She walked toward the hallway. She had to walk right past him. As she got close, she smelled something. It was not his soap. It was a sweet perfume. It belonged to someone else. She walked past him without looking back. Elena? What is this about? Marcus shouted. She didn't answer. The silence was the loudest thing she had said all day. Elena was not always a quiet person. Before she met Marcus, she was the person who talked the most. She had loud opinions. She laughed so loud that people in the next room could hear her. She was happy and bold. But over the last few years, she had changed. She had become smaller. Now, she was in the bedroom. She pulled her big suitcase out of the closet. Marcus followed her. He walked back and forth behind her. He kept asking what she was doing. He kept telling her she was being crazy. Elena started throwing her clothes into the bag. She tried to remember when she started changing herself for him. Maybe it started a few months after they started dating. That was the first time Marcus talked about Sarah. They had been together for 5 years in the past. They were high school sweethearts. Marcus said they had a special bond that would never break. Elena had smiled and said that was fine. She thought she was being a mature adult. She thought it was okay for men to be friends with their exes. But now she could see the signs she had ignored. She remembered Marcus hiding his phone screen at night. She remembered him mentioning Sarah more and more. He would talk about getting coffee with her like it was nothing. If Elena asked about it, he made her feel like she was being jealous and weird. She remembered finding a pink hair tie in his car a year ago. Marcus just laughed. He said it must have been there since he bought the car. Elena believed him. She believed him because she didn't want to know the truth. The truth was too scary. She thought about the day he asked her to marry him. They were at a nice restaurant. His whole family was there. Everyone clapped. Elena felt like she was in a movie. But later that night, she saw a post on social media. Sarah had commented on the photo of the ring. She wrote, "Nice choice. He always liked that style." It was only 7 words. It wasn't mean. But it felt like a needle under Elena's skin. "Why is Sarah commenting on our engagement?" Elena had asked. Marcus didn't even look at her. "We're friends, Elena. Why do you have to make everything a problem?" She had let it go. She had let so many things go. Her mother, Karen, had seen it. Mothers always see those things. Every time Elena went home to visit, Karen would look at her with a sad face. "You look tired, honey," Karen would say. "Is everything okay with you and Marcus?" Elena would always smile. She would tell her mother that everything was great. Admitting that things were bad felt like failing. She had picked Marcus. She had married him. If she said he was a liar, it meant she had wasted years of her life on a man who didn't really love her. The suitcase was almost full now. Marcus stood in the bathroom doorway. He was still talking. "Talk to me," he said. "This isn't how a marriage works. You can't just leave." Elena stopped packing. She looked him right in the eyes. "You spent our anniversary with Sarah," she said. "That isn't how a marriage works either." Before she walked out, Elena did one more thing. She went over to the small desk in the corner. Marcus's tablet was sitting there. It was turned on. Elena had never looked through his things before. She used to tell herself that trust was the most important thing. She realized now that she only believed that because it was easier than looking for the truth. Her fingers moved quickly. She opened his messages. He had a messaging app he used for work. She saw a name at the top of the list. It was saved as the mechanic. She had seen that name pop up before. She always thought it was just the guy who fixed their cars. She clicked on the messages. "Last night was amazing," the first message said. It was not from a mechanic. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too," Marcus had replied. "I'll tell Elena that I have a work emergency tonight." Elena kept reading. There was another message from Sarah. "Does she suspect anything yet?" Marcus had typed back, "No. Elena is oblivious. She always has been. She believes everything I say." Elena felt sick. Elena is oblivious. Those words hurt more than anything else. He thought she was stupid. He thought he was so much smarter than her. She scrolled back further. The messages went back for years. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was his whole life. This was their whole marriage. She saw messages from their wedding day. While Elena was getting her hair done, Marcus was texting Sarah. "She looks happy today," Marcus had written during the reception. "I feel a little bad about it." Sarah had replied, "You always feel bad for a minute. Then you remember how much fun we have." "See you Tuesday?" "Definitely," Marcus had said. Elena sat on the edge of the bed. Her hands were shaking. All those years. All those times she told her friends how lucky she was. All those times she defended him to her mother. It was all a lie. She was just an audience member in a play. She was the only person who didn't know the plot. She heard Marcus coming back into the room. She quickly closed the tablet and stood up. She grabbed her suitcase. "Are you really doing this?" Marcus asked. He sounded angry now. "You're just going to walk out without even trying to fix this?" Elena looked at him one last time. She didn't see the man she loved anymore. She just saw a stranger who had been lying to her for half a decade. "There is nothing left to fix, Marcus," she said. She walked out the front door. She didn't look back at the house. She didn't look back at him. Elena went to a hotel that night. For the first time in a long time, she felt calm. She didn't have to wonder where Marcus was. She didn't have to wonder if he was lying. Her phone kept buzzing in her purse. Marcus was sending dozens of texts. First, he was angry. Then he was begging for her to come back. Then he was saying he was sorry. Then he was angry again. She knew this cycle. It was the same way he always acted when he got caught doing something wrong. The next morning, Elena drove to her mother's house. She sat in the kitchen and told Karen everything. She told her about the anniversary. She told her about the messages on the tablet. She told her about Sarah. Karen listened. She didn't say anything until Elena was finished. "I knew," Karen said softly. "I could see the light going out in your eyes, Elena. I wanted to say something, but I knew you had to see it for yourself." "I wasn't ready to see it," Elena said. "I thought if I was just a better wife, he would stop. I thought I could make him choose me." Karen took Elena's hands. "You were always enough, Elena. He's just a man who doesn't know how to be honest. That is his problem, not yours." On the third day, Marcus showed up at the house. Elena saw his car pull into the driveway. She went outside before he could ring the bell. She didn't want him inside her mother's home. He was holding a bouquet of yellow roses. Those were her favorite. He had a sad look on his face. It was the same look he used whenever he wanted something. "Elena, please," he said. "Can we just talk?" "About what?" Elena asked. "About us. About our marriage. Marriage is hard. We have to work through the bad times. That's what people do." For a second, Elena felt a pull in her heart. She remembered the good times. She remembered their first date. It would be so easy to take the flowers. It would be so easy to go home and pretend this never happened. But then she remembered the words on the tablet. "Elena is oblivious." "You have been with Sarah since the day we got married," Elena said. Her voice was flat. "There is no working through that." Marcus's face changed. He was trying to think of a new lie. "That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about." You saw a few messages and you're making up a story in your head. I read all of them, Marcus. I saw the messages from our wedding day. I saw the messages from last night. Marcus dropped the flowers on the grass. Okay, fine. I made some mistakes. But you can't tell me our whole life was a lie. We were happy. Were you happy when you were texting her while we were eating our wedding cake? Elena asked. Marcus didn't have an answer for that. He looked at his shoes. Elena, please, he said. His voice was soft now. Sarah was just a habit. She didn't mean anything. You're my wife. If she didn't mean anything, why did you lie for 5 years? Because I knew you would react like this. Marcus shouted. I knew you would blow everything out of proportion. People are complicated, Elena. Life isn't always black and white. There it was. Even now, he was trying to make it her fault. She was the one blowing it out of proportion. He wasn't a cheater, he was just complicated. She was too simple to understand him. I want a divorce, Elena said. Marcus went pale. You're not serious. You're just mad. I have never been more serious in my life. She turned around and walked back into the house. She locked the door. She watched through the window as Marcus stood there for a long time. Finally, he got into his car and drove away. Her mother came up and stood next to her. Are you okay? Karen asked. I will be, Elena said. Over the next week, Elena started the process of ending her marriage. She found a lawyer named Lisa. Lisa was a smart woman who didn't take any nonsense. Elena sat in her office and told her everything. She showed her the screenshots she had taken of the messages. Lisa looked at the phone and nodded. This is good. We can use this. What do you mean? Elena asked. In this state, infidelity can matter when we talk about who gets what. Did you and Marcus share a bank account? We had one joint account for the house, Elena said. But we kept our own savings. I want you to look at that joint account, Lisa said. I want you to see if he was using that money for her. That night, Elena logged into the bank website. She had not looked at the joint account in months. She trusted Marcus to handle the bills. As she scrolled through the transactions, she felt her heart sink. There were charges for restaurants she had never been to. There were charges for hotels in the city. There was a charge for a jewelry store from 3 months ago. Marcus had spent $600 on a necklace. Elena did not have a new necklace. She saw a trip to a resort in the mountains. Marcus had told her he was going there for a sales meeting. But the bank statement showed he had paid for 2 people. He had used their bill money to take Sarah on a vacation. He had been stealing from her. He had been using the money she worked hard for to pay for his other life. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. Elena, please. I'm going to go to therapy. I'll do anything. Don't throw away everything we built. Elena looked at the bank statement. Everything we built. He hadn't built anything. He was a parasite. He was taking her money and her time and using it for himself. She put the phone down and started printing out the bank statements. She used a red pen to circle every charge that looked wrong. By the time she was done, she had 20 pages of proof. She sent it all to Lisa. Here is the rest of the story, Elena wrote. She went out onto her mother's porch and watched the sun go down. She wasn't sad anymore. She was focused. Marcus thought she was oblivious. He thought she was easy to fool. He was about to find out exactly how wrong he was. The divorce papers were delivered to Marcus's office 2 weeks later. Elena knew the moment he got them. Her phone started ringing over and over. He sent a long email saying she was being vindictive. He said she was trying to ruin his life. Then, he started calling her family. He called her brother, Robert. He cried on the phone. He told Robert that Elena was having a nervous breakdown and needed help. Robert didn't believe him. Then Marcus did something even worse. He called Elena's boss, Diane. Diane called Elena into her office the next morning. "I got a weird call today," Diane said. "Your husband called. He said you were going through some personal issues and that we should keep an eye on your work. He said you might be unstable." Elena felt her face get hot. She was embarrassed, but she was also furious. "We are getting a divorce," Elena said. "He cheated on me for our entire marriage. He is trying to hurt my reputation because I left him." Diane sighed. "I figured it was something like that. Don't worry about it. Your work is great. Just hanging in there." Elena called Lisa immediately. "He's calling my boss now. He's trying to get me fired." "Document it," Lisa said. "We will add it to the file. The judge is not going to like that." Lisa also told Elena some interesting news. She had been looking at the house records. "You paid the entire down payment for the house, right?" Lisa asked. "Yes," Elena said. "I had the savings from my grandmother. Marcus didn't have anything." "And did he pay his half of the mortgage?" "He was supposed to," Elena said. "He said he was putting his half into the account every month." "Well, he wasn't," Lisa said. "He was putting in much less than half. You've been paying about 70% of the house costs for 3 years. Between that and the money he spent on his girlfriend, we have a very strong case. You should get the house, and he should have to pay you back for everything he stole." For the first time in a long time, Elena felt like she was winning. Marcus had treated her like she was a fool. He thought he could play both sides and never get caught. But he had left a trail of paper and messages behind him. And now, Elena was following that trail all the way to the end. She sat in her room and wrote a list of what she wanted. She wanted the house. She wanted her money back. And she wanted him out of her life forever. She was done being the quiet wife. She was done being oblivious. She was ready for the truth to come out. Lisa called Elena into her office a week later. She had a stack of papers on her desk. She looked very serious. She told Elena that she had finished looking at Marcus's bank records. She had found something very important. Marcus had a secret bank account. It was not just his. It was a joint account. He shared it with Sarah. Elena felt a cold chill. She had suspected he was spending money on her, but seeing it on paper was different. Marcus had been putting money into that account for over 18 months. This was money that should have been used for their mortgage. It was money that should have been in their shared savings. Instead, Marcus was using it to pay for Sarah's car insurance and her phone bill. He was even paying for her groceries. Lisa explained that this was a big deal. She said that because Marcus used their shared money for his girlfriend, the judge would likely give Elena a bigger part of their assets. Lisa filed a new motion in court. She asked the judge to let Elena keep the house. She also asked that Marcus pay back every dollar he took from the joint account. While the legal part was moving forward, Marcus was trying to protect his reputation. To the rest of the world, Marcus was a great guy. He was the husband who brought flowers. He was the man who worked hard. Most of their friends and family had no idea what he had been doing. Elena decided she was done protecting him. She didn't want to be mean, but she was finished with the lies. When Marcus's mother, Beverly, called her to ask why she was throwing away a good marriage, Elena didn't lie. Marcus has been seeing Sarah since our wedding day, Elena told her. He has been using our house money to pay her bills. I have the bank statements to prove it. Beverly was quiet for a long time. She didn't know what to say. A few days later, Marcus's sister, Lauren, sent Elena a long, angry text. She called Elena selfish. She said that every marriage has problems and that Elena was being too hard on him. She said Elena was destroying the family over a mistake. Elena didn't get into an argument. She just took a screenshot of the message Marcus had sent to Sarah on their wedding day. It was the one where he said Elena looked happy and that he felt a little bad about it. She sent the picture to Lauren. Lauren never texted back. But Marcus did. An hour later, he left a very loud voicemail. He was screaming. He called Elena a liar. He said she was trying to turn his own family against him. He said what he did was private and that she had no right to tell anyone. He even said he was going to call the police for harassment. Elena didn't get scared. She just saved the voicemail. She sent it to Lisa. Keep it all, Lisa said. The more he acts like this, the easier our job is in court. The day of the divorce hearing finally came. Elena was nervous. She wore a simple dark suit. She sat at a table with Lisa. Marcus sat at the other table with his lawyer. He didn't look like the confident man who had walked into the kitchen at 6 a.m. He looked tired. He wouldn't look at Elena. Marcus's lawyer tried to say that Elena was just angry. He said she was unstable and was trying to take everything Marcus owned because she was jealous. He said Marcus was a good man who made one mistake. Then it was Lisa's turn. She didn't talk about feelings. She talked about facts. She showed the judge the bank records. She showed the charges for the jewelry store and the mountain resort. She showed the shared account with Sarah. The judge looked at the papers for a long time. Then Lisa showed the messages. She showed the one where Marcus called Elena oblivious. She showed the one from their wedding reception. The courtroom was very quiet. The judge looked at Marcus. Mr. Miller, the judge said. Do you have anything to say about these financial records? Marcus looked at his lawyer. His lawyer shook his head. Marcus looked back at the judge and said, no. The judge made her decision quickly. She was not happy with Marcus. She ruled that Elena would keep the house. She said Marcus had no right to the money Elena had saved before they were married. She also ordered Marcus to pay Elena back $14,000. That was the amount he had taken from their shared funds to spend on Sarah. The judge also said Marcus could not touch Elena's retirement fund. When the hearing was over, Elena felt like she could finally breathe. She walked out into the hallway. Marcus caught up to her. I hope you're happy, he said. His voice was full of hate. You took everything. You ruined my life. Elena stopped walking. She looked him right in the face. For 5 years, she had been afraid of his anger. She had always tried to make him feel better. But she didn't feel that way anymore. "I didn't ruin your life, Marcus," she said. "You ruined it yourself. I just stopped helping you hide the truth." She walked away. She heard his lawyer telling him to be quiet, but she didn't look back. She walked out of the courthouse and into the bright afternoon sun. It was over. 6 months later, Elena stood in the middle of her living room. It was her house now. The legal papers were all signed and filed. She looked at the walls. They were not white anymore. She had spent the last weekend painting them a soft, light blue. Marcus always hated that color. He said it looked childish. He wanted everything to look like an office. He wanted white walls and black furniture. Now, the room looked exactly how Elena wanted it to look. She had moved the heavy sofa to the other side of the room. She bought a new rug with a pattern of yellow flowers. She hung up some pictures she had found at a local market. They were simple paintings of the ocean. They made her feel calm. The house used to feel like a place where she had to be very quiet. It used to feel like a place where she was always waiting for something bad to happen. Now, it just felt like a home. It was her space. The divorce had been final for 2 months. It was a long process. There were a lot of meetings with her lawyer, Lisa. There was a lot of paperwork to read. Marcus had tried to fight the judge's order at first. He didn't want to pay the $14,000. His lawyer sent letters saying the amount was too high. They tried to say that Marcus didn't have the money. But Lisa found his bank records. She showed that he did have the money. In the end, Marcus had to pay. Elena remembered the day the check arrived in the mail. She sat at her kitchen table and looked at it for a long time. It was just a piece of paper, but it meant she was finally free. She took the check to the bank and put it into her own account. It felt good to have her own money. She didn't have to ask anyone if she could spend it. She didn't have to explain why she bought a new pair of shoes or a bag of groceries. She had heard some news about Marcus recently. A friend from their old neighborhood had seen him at a grocery store. The friend told Elena that Marcus looked tired. He was living in a small one-bedroom apartment on the other side of the city. It was in a building that was old and gray. He didn't have the big house or the nice yard anymore. The biggest news was about Sarah. Elena found out that Sarah had broken up with Marcus. It happened only a few weeks after the court case was over. Sarah liked the excitement of the secret affair. She liked that Marcus was cheating on his wife to see her. Once the divorce happened, there was no more secret. Marcus was just a man with a lot of problems and no house. The romance was gone. Sarah didn't want to deal with his bad moods or his legal issues. She moved on to someone else. Marcus's family still spoke to him, but things were different. His mother, Beverly, had been very upset when she found out the truth. She used to think Marcus was the perfect son. She used to tell everyone how lucky Elena was to be married to him. Now, she knew that her son had been lying for years. She knew he had stolen money from his wife. The golden boy image was broken. Everyone could see the real Marcus now. Elena didn't feel happy about Marcus's struggles. She didn't feel sad for him either. She just felt nothing. When she thought about him, it was like thinking about a character in a book she had read a long time ago. He was a stranger who used to live in her house. She didn't miss him. She didn't miss the way he made her feel small. She was surprised by how much energy she had now. When she was married to Marcus, she was always tired. She thought it was because she worked too hard. Now she realized it was because she was always trying to keep him happy. She was always trying to guess what he wanted. She was always trying to pretend that her marriage was okay. That took a lot of work. Now that he was gone, she felt light. She had started going to therapy every Tuesday after work. Her therapist was a kind woman named Dr. Eris. They talked about the 5 years Elena spent with Marcus. They talked about why Elena had ignored the signs of his cheating. Elena learned that she wasn't stupid. She was just a person who wanted to trust her husband. She learned that she didn't have to feel ashamed for what Marcus did. His choices were his own. Elena had also started seeing her old friends again. She had let a lot of those friendships fade away during her marriage. Marcus didn't like her friends. He always found something wrong with them. He would say they were too loud or that they weren't good for her. So, Elena stopped calling them. Now, she was reaching out to them again. They went out to dinner once a week. They went to the movies. They talked for hours. One night, her friend Julie told her that she was finally starting to sound like the old Elena. She was laughing again. Her laugh was loud and real. She had also picked up her old hobby of gardening. She had always loved plants, but Marcus thought gardening was messy. He didn't like the dirt on the porch. He didn't want her spending money on seeds and tools. Now, Elena's backyard was full of life. She had planted tomatoes and peppers. She had a row of bright red roses along the fence. She spent her Saturday mornings outside with her hands in the dirt. It was peaceful. She liked watching things grow. Her mother, Karen, came over to visit last Sunday. They sat on the back porch and drank iced tea. Karen looked at Elena for a long time. She saw the way Elena was sitting. She wasn't hunched over. She wasn't looking at her phone every 2 minutes to see if Marcus was calling. "There you are," Karen said. She had a small smile on her face, but her eyes were a little wet. "I was so worried that Marcus had taken you away forever. I missed my girl." Elena felt a lump in her throat. She stood up and gave her mother a big hug. "I missed me too, Mom," she said. They both cried a little, but it was a good cry. It was the kind of cry that makes you feel better afterward. Standing in her kitchen now, Elena thought about the last 5 years. She thought about the night of her anniversary when Marcus walked in at 6 in the morning. She thought about the messages she found on the tablet. She thought about the way he tried to make her feel like she was the one who was crazy. She had lost a lot. She lost time. She lost the idea of the family she thought she was building. She had lost her trust in people for a while. But she had also gained so much more. She had found her voice again. She had learned that she was a strong person. She had learned that she could handle hard things and come out okay on the other side. She realized that her value didn't come from being Marcus's wife. It didn't come from whether a man chose to be honest with her or not. Her value came from herself. She was the one who decided how she was going to live her life. She was the one who decided she deserved better. Elena walked over to the window and opened it. The evening air was cool and smelled like the rain that was coming. She looked out at her garden. The roses were blooming. The grass was green. She felt a sense of peace that she had never felt before. She wasn't afraid of being alone. She actually liked her own company. She liked being able to read a book in bed without someone complaining about the light. She liked being able to eat cereal for dinner if she wanted to. She liked the quiet of the house. Tomorrow was Sunday. She was going to wake up early and work in her garden. Then she was going to have lunch with her brother, Robert. She was looking forward to it. She was looking forward to every day now. She took a deep breath of the fresh air. The past was gone. The lies were over. She was 31 years old, and she was just beginning. She felt like she could do anything. She closed her eyes for a moment and just enjoyed the silence. Then, she went into the living room and turned on her favorite music. She started to dance, just a little bit, by herself. She was happy. She was free. And she knew that everything was going to be just fine. If you enjoyed Elena's journey to finding herself again, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button for more stories like this one.